Welcome, Holger.
Good afternoon. Good morning. What time is it?
It's 10 a.m.
It's morning time.
I'm always confused. Yeah, I was in India this morning when I was in Germany, right now here. And so normally I said good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. That works always.
And you're probably feeling a little colder now than when you were in India because we're expecting a big snowstorm here. So
wow.
That's why our past district governor, Fred Wright, if you can see him on the top left there, he has his Canadian winter gear on.
Okay, I can see that, yeah.
So I think we're all back and ready to go. If everyone would mute themselves, except of course for Holger and I. And Holger, we're absolutely delighted that you could join us. And for you, we know it's cocktail hour in Germany, but for us, it's early on a Saturday morning. And so we need to be energized. And we're going to do this a little bit differently. You and I are both going to introduce you. So it's going to be an interactive introduction. First of all, I want to ask you.
What I really would like, let's do more or less in conversation, you know? Nobody needs really long speeches. So let's do a conversation. I really love that. Thank you very much. Yes.
Okay, we'll start with that. So first of all, I want to ask you a question. Do you know the English phrase, opportunity knocks?
No, but knocking,
okay.
If this is this year, then it's opportunities are knocking at your door. Is this like this?
Yes, that's exactly it. So I want you to know, I want to show you something. In District 5550, we've coined the phrase opportunity knacks. So we think it's very clever of you to choose your theme of Rotary Opens Opportunities. We agree that it's fitting for these historic times. And to quote you, everything we do opens another opportunity for someone, somewhere. So Holger, let's see. I'm going to do it this way. First of all, I want to confess something. When I was asked to introduce you, I was wishing that I could introduce your wife, Suzanne, instead. And you know why? She's a Rotarian, and her club is the E-Club of Hamburg Connect. Really easy for us to say. Yeah. Whereas we all know that your own Rotary Club is just a little bit more difficult to pronounce the name. So we would like you to teach us how to say it.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I try to do it. First of all, I tell you what it means. Herzogtum Lauenburg means dukedom. Nothing. Herzogtum is nothing else than a dukedom. And that's dukedom Lauenburg. Lauenburg is easy to pronounce for you, Lauenburg, and dukedom also. And dukedom, so again, it's Herzogtum. And the second name, Mölln, that's just the city where the club is located. So it's the dukedom, and the dukedom Lauenburg, that's at least the name of our county. So that's the county name and community or city name. Herzogtum. Okay. Try it. It's easy for me.
I'm going to pinpoint somebody. If you would unmute yourself, Patty Van. Let's see if you learned how to say this. You're still muted, Patty. Okay, maybe.
Hey, sorry, the bar that we learned to use this morning didn't work for me. Anyway, Hergostum Lauenburg Mall.
Great. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So thank you for that, Holger. And now I want to teach you how to say the name of one of our clubs.
Oh yeah.
So, how do you think this is pronounced, Holger?
Saskatoon. Miwesen.
And the bottom?
Saskatchewan.
That's pretty darn good. Good for you.
I know Saskatchewan is your state. I learned that at school already.
Saskatoon, Meewasin, Saskatchewan. So you did pretty good. You're a
That's good.
quick learner in languages. So Holger, you're our first president from Germany. And what we know most about you in Germany was that you were very involved with the Rotary Youth Exchange Program. You have a passion for youth. And I think there's a German expression, which I found on the internet, which epitomizes your passion for youth. And I would like you to read this expression and tell us what it means.
Yes. The German, it's wo dein Herz aufgeht. That's just how where you're opening your heart. So I think that's the one-to-one expression of this year. And this is definitely with youth exchange and youth working with youth. So for me, it was really the transition from being just a member of my Rotary Club to becoming a Rotarian. That happens through youth exchange. I think all of you know that Suzanne and I, we don't have any children by our own, but we hosted 43 youth exchange students. Not all of them in long-term exchange, half of them or more than half of them in short-term exchange just for a couple of weeks. But this, indeed, what Suzanne always said, this raises our level of tolerance. And you know, and then if I see where you are opening your heart or where your heart is touched, I think that's a better pronunciation, where your heart is touched. It's really if you see how you can really change young people, how you are changing young people's life. And we can see that because not all of them, but many of them we are following, we are in touch with them, and we have been to marriages, to weddings, we have been to spending holidays with them. Many of them are coming back to us. Last year, one of our first students came with 2 of his children, his wife and his mother to spend some days with us. So this is really expanding our family. That's really unbelievable. And if you can see your influence, how they are managing their life today, I think this is something what is touching my heart and what shows me what we are able to achieve with our Rotary Youth programs. I think this is for me unbelievable. And so I encourage everybody to work with youth because you can see the results firsthand if you are in touch with them. So that's why wo mein Herz aufgeht. Thank you.
Great, Holger. And we always say that with our young people in our district and in Rotary in general, anytime they've been involved in a program, whether it's youth exchange or a short-term program, you know, Adventures in Agriculture or whatever it is, these kids always say, that was the best time of my life.
Yeah.
So we're saying, hopefully they'll give back to us. And what we need to do is let these young people know that they can continue to participate in the family of Rotary. And I think, you know, we can share some ideas about that. There's another familiar German phrase that I found, and I would like to show you. And if you would please tell us what this means.
Yes, yeah, that's simply, I think we have a very similar phrase that means getting everybody on board. That's, I think that's the meaning of this year. And this is, yes, this is so important today. And that's I repeat this phrase nearly every day when I'm encourage people to make sure that all Rotary Club members, when we are meeting virtually, that they are on board. And I think this is so important. So it's important for you as district leadership to make sure that our clubs are meeting virtually. If there is a need for virtual meetings, that's today in Germany, because we are back to a partly lockdown in Germany right now, nearly everywhere in Europe today. So that means that all Rotary clubs are meeting online. And so this is making sure that our clubs are meeting online. And for clubs, this is for me as important is, so they have to make sure that everybody is on board of its members. And this is some work for Rotary clubs, but I think it's worth to do that because it works. And sometimes you have to call Rotary Club members simply, not just sending emails. So this normally doesn't work. If you really want Rotary members having them on board, I think the best way is really to call them or to pick them up if we are meeting in persons. I think this is so important in Rotary.
For sure it is, and you certainly lead by example when you say that we have to be on board together. And we work as a team in Rotary. Whatever level you're at, we want to be a team. So you've proven that throughout your long history with Rotary. You've gotten people to work together for the common goal of doing good in the world. So from your experience with Youth Exchange, your commitment to your own club, and I understand your involvement at Rotary International, you have shown us the gift for leadership, which is leading by example and keeping the team with you. There's no point in standing alone if you're at the top. We discussed that earlier in our workshop this morning, where we said somebody put forward the analogy of Rotary being a kind of a meat sandwich, and RI is at the top, and our district leadership is the meat in the middle, and then at the bottom is the clubs. And they said that we should flip it over like a grilled cheese sandwich. The club should be at the top, and then we're the liaison in the middle, and RI is at the bottom. So however you look at that sandwich, we need to have a good sandwich and work together. So thank you for leading by example. I know that equally important for you is the philosophy of working hard. And it doesn't mean that you can't always have a good time. I read over and over that you say that during your presidency year, you're getting people on board, you're investing in young people, and you're doing your best still to make sure that everybody is enjoying themselves. Really difficult in these COVID times, and you already alluded to the fact that we have to be really cognizant of the fellowship and the fun that we could share if we were in person, and we kind of have to do it online, which is why I wanted you to participate from the very beginning of your joining us today. I'm just going to read a quote from you, and then we'll hand it back to you, and you can give us a few words or open it up to question and answer, however you want to do it. Together we see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change across the globe, in our communities, and in ourselves. And I really thank you for that quote, Holger. And now I'm handing it over to you.
Yes, thank you. And by the way, that's not done by me. That's simply our vision statement, what we all love, because that's so universal. I think this is something what I was learning while I'm traveling. And that's really, I learned how different Rotary is everywhere. I think this is something new, probably for those who are not traveling a lot, seeing that Rotary is totally different in Japan, in Korea, Australia, India, Middle East, Africa, Europe, and Canada, and United States. This is unbelievable for me. But so this vision statement is really something what is really combines all of us, because it's like our four-way test and our core values. And by the way, what I found, of course, we are all bound together through our core values. But what I really found is that this is difference. The emphasis are different in different countries, different Rotary regions on our core values. That's different. So while in North America, many things starting with service in Rotary. So in my country, for example, it starts with friendship and professional integrity. And so this is bringing people into Rotary clubs, and of course broaden the perspective, meeting different people, and so this is something what is important. And service comes, yes, through this strong group of Rotarians, through a strong Rotary club. So so the four-way test, this is something what is for me so important, because this is for everybody, regardless of how they are living their Rotary. And so is the vision statement. You know my other phrase when I'm talking about our four-way test, and that's something about the first question. And this question is, becomes more problematic, I think, especially if I see what happens in your neighboring country right now, asking, is it the truth? So nobody knows that sometimes. And if you go on Facebook or whatever, you simply don't know, is it the truth? Because there are so much influences from everywhere. And it's not just there, not to put blame on your neighbors. So it's you can find this really everywhere. So, but for me, it's always important, you know, when someone in Germany, what I'm always finding, if there is trouble between club members or between clubs, so people are always pointing to others and saying to them, you are not following our four-way test. This is the normal case. I hear the four-way test, and that's wrong. The four-way test is built for us. It's for questioning ourselves. That's the way why we have the four-way test. And this, so, and coming back to the first question, is it the truth? There was some add-on in Germany many years ago, I think 30, 40 years ago. But I really love, and I'm bringing that back to attention. And that's in second question, am I honest? I think that's the way, because you don't know is it the truth. But if you're asking yourself, am I honest? That's for me behind this first question, and that is so important. And that's something what is good for the whole world, regardless what culture, what religion, what is behind that. Am I honest is for me one of the most important things in Rotary, because this includes nearly everything. So I'm talking enough right now. I think just let me focus on one thing, and that is I have to say that I'm saying that always, and that's about growing Rotary and our membership efforts. And that's something what I'm really asking you, especially the district leadership, to do everything what we can do, what we can make possible to grow Rotary. We have to do that. We want to grow. I know it's sometimes not easy. Mostly not easy, except India, probably, for example, but mostly it's really hard work to grow Rotary. We know that, you know, my message to clubs when I say look for people who are the best fit to your Rotary club, and that also means look behind the curtain. If I think about diversity and inclusion, that is also possible and important. Thinking of inclusion, think for different people, but make always sure that these new people are a good fit to your Rotary club. And with this, we can have a much better retention rate, and when we take care of our people and our clubs. So this is so important for me. Second point, you know that, Gail-Marie will talk often about that. We know that we can grow with new Rotary clubs. And the idea behind that is very simple. If our club models, our traditional club models, doesn't fit very good to young professionals, to Rotaractors, we should really focus on new, different clubs. And we know that this can be successful. I know about the resistance of existing clubs. They really don't like that. But I think we have to convince them, because this could help, yes, both clubs if there's a smaller city. Because this will really put totally another image on Rotary if there is also a younger active club instead of just a lunch club who's more focused on having lunch and talking. So with this, so this is really important for me, these two things, and I really ask you to do everything what you can do, and then I know you are doing this, because with this we really can make sure that Rotary is also in the future relevant. So now I'm talking definitely enough, and thank you for listening to me. And please, I encourage you to ask some crazy questions probably. So please.
Thanks, Holger. And for this, because we're on Zoom and we can't just see each other around the table, if you would raise your hand so that if you have a comment or question. I think probably we do have comments from people in our district, because we are looking at innovative club models, and in some ways we're looking at our clubs in smaller places to change within themselves. I know that I don't know if Mona would like to speak to this, but we made changes in our club according to what some of the younger members would want. So Mona, do you want to kick that off?
And Gail-Marie, just once you're done there, you have Rob and John Mark with their hands up.
Okay, if they would just follow Mona, please.
So we had a strategy planning meeting the end of July And I actually focused on the younger members that were in our club, and we don't have very many, to see what they wanted. And one of the things that came up was our lack of socialization. We would meet and we would go, we wouldn't sit around and have those conversations after and get to know each other on a different level. And we were always meeting just at noon on a Tuesday, and they wanted a bit of variety there. So what we've instituted is we've changed the day from Tuesday to Thursday for a business social, moved it to an evening. We now meet at the Legion for that. And after the business meeting, we can migrate into a lounge where there's an opportunity to have a coffee, a pop, or a drink. And the Legion is big enough to socially distance. We're very concerned about that. And having talked to some of the younger members and even some of the older ones, they are really enjoying it. And it's just added a new dimension to the way we have been running our meetings. And we'll see how it goes. With stricter conditions coming down, who knows? But right now we're still able to do it.
Jean-Marc?
Thank you, Gail-Marie. Good afternoon, I guess, Holger. Nice to meet you virtually, but in person anyway. My question is, and we have a working group in our district around Rotary to really get a good sense of what we can engage those clubs. And we have, I believe, Patty, 3 clubs in our district, 3 Rotary clubs. And to your point, inclusion and diversity is going to be key in moving forward. How do you see the Rotary clubs grow within the structure of Rotary International? We have, and I learned that yesterday by meeting with our zone director, Valerie, the MDIOs. I wasn't aware of that terminology, but it's essentially Rotary Canada, and it runs separately from Rotary International. So and I come from a paramilitary organization, so we want to make sure that everybody's included, but we want to stick within our structure, right? So how is that going to play in the future? And from Valerie's comments yesterday, I don't think everything's been, well, a lot have been thought through, but not everything's been sort of, what's the future hold like? So I'd like to hear from you as our leader, what's the Rotary going to be looking like in the future? Thank you.
Yes, thank you for that. Thank you for that question. It could be a very simple answer and a more complicated answer. The simple answer would be, this is still under construction. That's like a website. If it doesn't really work, we are under construction, and that's what's happening right now. So, but then the reason is the following. What I really totally appreciate. In older times, we started with pilot projects, and then we figured out how this can work, and then again a pilot project, and then the whole change would take 6-7 years. So we made. Then I was working really some years on that. We made last year on the last Council on Legislation, we made Rotaractors part of Rotary International. So, and this starts without figuring out how everything could work. So what is really, so we had this Elevate Rotaract committee, and we had some really new things for Rotaractors, how to involve them in Rotary. And there are a lot of things right now, they are part in our committee structure, they are in our also in our board of director meetings, there are Rotaractors, so nearly everywhere. We didn't right now explain or found the structure for Rotaract in districts and zones. So this is something what we are really working right now. But you also know that we are working on another structure, how more closer to clubs on a district and zone structure worldwide. And this is why we are putting into this thinking Rotaract. So not moving from today to another structure and administrative structure and in 2-3 years again. So that's the reason why this is still as I said, under construction. But I know for me, it's important that we find a way for them for finding benefits and responsibilities. So I'm really always focused also on responsibilities, of course, in the districts and zone structure in the future. And by the way, MDIO, that's Multi-District Information Organization. And they found that because Rotary is not happy if there are different multi-district organizations or districts organization. And so they found themselves the phrase information organization, so nobody can say something against that. But this is something what I call, they found their own way to come together to find their way to, for a, yes, more or less ruling body beyond the district level. And that works pretty much well all over the world right now.
Follow up, Gil-Marie, if I could.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for that. And one of the concerns that we have, and I'll share with you so that as you're flying the plane as it's being built, as the expression I would use, the concern we have is we pay significant dues as members of Rotary, both at RI level and also at our district level. And we're concerned for the future and that if the dues are not equal, that as a 51-year-old Rotarian myself, I just might decide to move over to Rotaract because it's going to be cheaper for me to be a participant. I don't want that to happen, but I'm concerned, and I think Fred would share that concern as well. We've had those conversations. So I don't know how that's going to play out in the long run. As you said, you're building the plane as you're flying it, but certainly a concern that we have. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you very much.
But let me answer that very fast, Jean-Marc. First of all, Rotaract will be definitely a young organization. So, and this is even if we remove the upper age limit. The idea behind that was Rotaractors can decide by themselves where their upper age limit would be. And I think and I encourage them all to find I encourage them to find three age limits. First of all, the upper age limit for new members. Secondly, an upper age limit for their directors, for their board of directors in the club. So to make sure that they have young club members. And so this is, and then of course, when they are going to leave, so at least their limit. And that works. So I think nobody should be concerned that they are, even if you are for Rotary young with 51, but I think nobody is concerned that you will be invited to a Rotary club, and not just to save money, probably to be a member of honor then. That I could imagine that. Thank you.
Great discussion about Rotaract. We're certainly really looking at involvement with Rotaract in our district, Holger. So thanks. Rob Tisdale, you have a question.
Yes, first just a comment. We hosted 7 exchange students when our kids were in school, and the phrase we used is a stressful pleasure. And that quickly, when people asked it, what's it like hosting exchange students, that was it. Anyways, my main question is, Rotary is apolitical, that everybody understands. However, as you opened to discussing the 4-way test, in some of these populist governments of the world, simply standing by the 4-way test, we would be placed in a political situation or being accused of being political because it doesn't represent the dogma of whatever this populist movement might be. So how do we as Rotarians try to remain in the middle when someone's trying to push us to one side?
That's a difficult question. I know that. And that's an easy question in our part of the world. That's an easy question for Canadians. It's an easy question for Germans. It could be much more difficult if you are living in Belarus, in Turkey, or in Russia. That's a totally different question there. So I think we can be lucky that we are able to raise our voice. I once said at the IA that Rotary is of course not political, but when things are obviously wrong, so we have a voice. And it depends on everybody personally to raise the voice or not. And it's not just about the whole organization, but when I think about what happens in the United States right now with Black Lives Matters, what happens also in my part of the world, in what we call racism, because Black Lives Matter, that's not an issue in my country. And because there's always a historical reason why things are how they are. There are other issues in my country. There are also issues with Black people or dark colored. It's everywhere. There's a different wording and the proper wording. So in UK or France, but there are totally different reasons in this case. But you will find everywhere discrimination, however discrimination looks like. And even if we are together with other people in our communities or invited, so we're very often hearing phrases and words, they are definitely not right. And also here, I think Rotarians can raise their voice and think, hey, what you said just now, that sounds like discrimination, whatever it looks like. And this is something where Rotarians really can raise their voice without being political. This is just about being right or wrong. And by the way, when we are looking for illiteracy and poverty in the world, everything is about politics. If you're asking for the reason, why is this poverty in different countries? That's of course about. I think it's for us, it's what is important not to take a political side of this party, of that party. I think this would really also would be difficult for Rotary to survive this. So that's why I think really right now in your neighboring countries, there are some Rotary clubs are really a little bit in danger right now to be divided if they start discussions like that. So I really would ask everybody to stay away from discussions like that right now. Things will become hopefully better. But I think if there's really a right or wrong, so especially in our personal view, and so I think we should raise our voice.
Thank you, Holger. Signe?
Thanks, Gail-Marie. Holger, could you talk a little bit about flexibility and flexibility and how clubs might be structured, the new opportunities? We look at the future in terms of how we grow within our district. How do we do that within the structure? What kind of leeway do we have? And what are some of the options that we might be looking at?
Thank you, Signe. First of all, what I see is your name. Your name is Swedish, and your second name looks like very much German. Because that's the name of the state I'm living here. The northern state is called Schleswig-Holstein. By the way, Holstein is one of our dukedoms, and the third one is Lauenburg, where I'm living. So that's yes. So that's what I'm hearing, what I hear from Mona already, what they are doing in their Rotary Club. They are simply founding a new structure, moving from a lunch to an afternoon or evening meeting. That's part of being flexible. I think nothing is written in stone what we are doing. And so I think sometimes we really have to convince older members. Not always. Sometimes older members have to convince younger members to be flexible. So everything is possible, definitely in Rotary. And so this is something looking for new options, for things. I think that's some kind of brainstorming what I'm asking to do every Rotary Club when I'm asking them to do a strategic meeting and to look where they want to be in 5 or 10 years. When I'm asking them that they look for what makes the Rotary Club really unique. And when I'm asking them, what is really the added value what your Rotary Club is offering to especially new members? And so think about everything, and I think sometimes I'm asking Rotary Clubs, go back to scratch, start with 0 if you think about all your procedures and meeting dates and where you meet, and also about your procedures, how to invite members. You know, when I'm talking about Rotary opens opportunities, I'm really thinking also on opportunities for Rotarians. when we are going to marketing Rotary, when we are looking for new members, especially younger members. So we should let them know that there are many opportunities for them being part of our Rotary network. Of course, that network is amazing what we have. But also this, for me, important for younger people, that's this widen your view, you broaden your view. That's amazing, your perspective, because you are meeting so many totally different people, so many different professions. This is all about personal growth, becoming a member of a Rotary Club. And there are simply practical things like you're increasing your ability to in public speaking. That's amazing. When you are going to plan your events, your ability being an event manager, or with service projects, really planning projects from the beginning to the end. This is also something what you can learn in Rotary. Not to talk about our great youth programs, youth exchange or new generation service exchange. There are so many opportunities for us. And I think when we are looking for new members, we not just should focus on the opportunity for service. That's no doubt, that's so important, but also for all the other opportunities. And this includes for me flexibility to look what is the best fit for our new members. How can I marketing my Rotary Club? And again, one other thing what I learned. So when we are talking about satellite clubs, we are always talking about having a second structure what fits more to younger members. So when the older members want to keep as a traditional club, so there is then they can do that, and then they put the younger members into satellite clubs and let them run their own Rotary. I just learned something what happens vice versa. So the older members said, okay, we would like to have our traditional Rotary with our lunch meeting and some fellowship, but we are going really to contribute to Rotary as before. And then let's do our younger members, our young professionals, let them decide how they want to do and to run the main Rotary Club, how they would, their procedures, their meetings, and all of that. So I think this is a great idea, putting this really in different ways, and they step back into the satellite club. So everything is possible. Yes, really everything is possible. And I'm really asking, but I think we have to be flexible because it's different everywhere. It's in bigger cities, different to smaller cities, and rural areas, it's a totally different Rotary again. And so I'm asking staff members again to go through all the procedures we are asking for Rotary clubs, how to do things or how to create new clubs. There are so many useless obstacles here, also asking for procedures in our code of policy, so that we really should bring that down to what is really necessary for running a Rotary club or for create a new one.
So important, Holger. It's not about the structure, it's about the opportunity to learn from each other, to work together. So I have people on hold here. Ken Singer, he is the chair of our Public Image Committee.
Good morning or afternoon, Holger. And what an honor it is to have you join us today. Thank you for your time, and I've thoroughly enjoyed what you've shared with us so far. Our public image team is working hard to find ways to reach out to the people that aren't in the room, in our Rotary rooms right now. And definitely our focus is on finding younger people that up to now haven't considered Rotary. And I think one of the real challenges is to talk about Rotary and tell the story of Rotary to people who have, there's a surprising amount of people in our communities that don't know much about Rotary. So we're actually having our first ever public image workshop in a couple weeks, and inviting public image people from the committees or from the clubs, but all members, because I think public image is really one of the keys, promotion of one of the keys to growing our membership. So we're looking for ideas, and And we're also, I guess, just reinforcing how important public relations, public image is to Rotary right now in these times. And if you've got any suggestions, our eyes are wide open. So we definitely do see the relationship between public image, growth of membership, and maintenance of membership as well. So that's my comment. Thank you again.
Yes, absolutely. But this is, you know what, changing a public image doesn't happen from today to tomorrow. That's so much work sometimes for decades. And I think for many years, there was one phrase in Germany that was doing good in the world, but don't talk about it. That was something what Rotary was really in Germany, and that's still a little bit. And that's as a result, we see the result right now. So right now, Rotary International is running this since some years. There's a campaign, People of Action, and that sometimes also could be, it's also dangerous. Also like this, we are people of action, and we are young, and we are active, and we are something like innovative. And if we then asking people to join our Rotary Club, and then they came into our clubs, and this is also my own club has an average age of 65 right now. And then if these new members coming into our Rotary Club and seeing that's yes, probably an active club, and it is an active club, but it's not young and vibrant. And so this is, I think that's one of our major problems here. So we have, in some parts of the world, we have still the image of, so that's in my country. I don't know exactly how it looks in your country, but in my country, it's definitely about old, gray-haired, not white-haired, not white because it's just only white people in my country, but white-haired old men are coming to lunch. That's still one of the images. And to be very honest, and honesty is also here very important, there are still many Rotary clubs that are definitely looking like that. And that makes it more difficult to create a better image. So for me, the most important thing is that there's always a good relationship between the Rotary Club and the media in the community. I think you can't ask them for good articles if there is not a good relationship. There could be an ongoing relationship, inviting them, talking with them, involving them. And with this, I know that's it's a lot of work, but with this ongoing relationship with the media, I think you can be sure they are very more included in articles and in the media. But again, it's also about everybody else. So it's also about wearing this button. I know so many Rotarians who are avoid to wear the button when they are going to work or in their offices. Or I just visited a couple of weeks ago Austria, 2 districts in Austria, when we are able to travel again. And some of the mayors, of the Lord mayors, even in bigger cities, are Rotarians. But none of them are wearing a Rotary pin. So since that time, I'm always having some Rotary pins with me. And so I'm always present a pin. I think, you know, you're a proud member of Rotary. Even if you are the mayor, you should wear your pin.
Very good point. And we are humble Canadians as well. We don't say what we do in Rotary, so it's a very good point. We have several people still online. Fred, you're next.
I didn't have my hand up, although I really appreciate Holger's comment about speaking up when you see prejudice. You know, a few years ago, I would have let a remark go. I was in a post office a couple of weeks ago, and I had to mail a package to America. And so I had to go through a whole process of getting a declaration form and stuff on my phone, and it was very frustrating for an old guy. And then I had to go out, and they gave me a package, and I had to unwrap it. And so then I'm looking for a place to put the wrapping. There's no garbage can. So when I went back in, I said to the staff, I said, you know, there's no garbage can to put the trash in. And they said, oh, we used to have one, but street people started defecating in it, so we don't have a garbage can anymore. And the fellow standing behind me said, "They're not people." And I said loudly, "They are people. And it's our responsibility to make sure that we have a place for them to go to the bathroom so they don't have to do dehumanizing things." The fellow chose not to argue with me, which was probably a good decision on his part. But you know, a couple of years ago, I might have just let that comment go. And you know, we don't have as large a black problem in Canada, but we certainly have a tremendous history of racism against Indigenous people, and we need to fix that up. And part of it is speaking up, and thank you for that.
Thank you, Fred. Ken Thiessen.
Sorry, can I have just one more question, because I have to prepare for the next meeting at
Okay, sorry.
yeah, thank you.
Okay, Ken Thiessen, you have the last question.
Okay, Holger, we've gone through an issue here in our district recently. We needed an alternate representative on the Council of Legislation, and Rotary's criteria is that the person had to be a past district governor. We actually had somebody else in our district that was more qualified, but hadn't been a past district governor. How flexible is Rotary on some of those, as you call them, obstacles?
So we try to be flexible. To give an exact answer, I have to go into our bylaws or constitution. What is required? And I think there is the answer you will find in our bylaws. And this is something we can't bypass. If this is in the bylaws where there's no chance for flexibility, then we have to go with these to the Council on Legislation. I have no idea for the right answer here. Sorry, but I'm not afraid to say always I have no idea about that. I simply don't know the right answer. And this is something there have to be a right answer. I don't know that. So, but I think if it's possible, I think there could be a waiver from the General Secretary or from the Secretary. Probably they come to me with this here.
The RI board just removed that qualification from at their last board meeting.
Yes, I'm not sure if it's already in place, or it takes always some time. It had to go public. So simply, but I appreciate that, because we simply want the best people in these council legislation.
Thank you, Holger. I know that you have to leave, and I'm going to call on Dan to thank you, but I just want to put this up. Can you see this on my screen? I just received this from my French exchange student. She was with us 20 years ago, and we're still in communication all the time. And she's showing me a memory of her Rotary Youth Exchange jacket. So I think that was great timing. So Dan. You're muted.
There we go. Good day, Holger. Thank you very much. And pardon my German, but Dankeschön. It was great to hear you speaking. You touched on so many things: the flexibility we need to have, the inclusivity, the knowledge of our own community, so we know what our community culture is, so we know what we can do and help our own communities and everywhere else. Communication throughout all of this is very important, which you've touched on. And the youth programs are what I think are the future of Rotary. We have to keep them working, because the youth are going to replace us. Mm-hmm. And I think you've touched on that very, very well. Not touched, you talked on it very well. Again, Dankeschön, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Holger.
I
really appreciate it
for what you're doing for Rotary. You know, in my written duties, there is written. So in my task, I have to inspire Rotarians all over the world. But when I'm going into clubs or districts like this here, I always feel you're inspiring me more, and so I'm thankful for that's really being a Rotarian. It's always being among friends, and I appreciate totally this being a Rotarian, and thank you for what you are doing. So thank you. And the most important thing, please stay healthy. That's so important for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Good night, Holger.
Bye.